think if I was a millionaire, that's how you would get it. You'd be trying to pay me.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we thank Allah. What's going on, my brother?
Nothing much, brother, other than what you just said. I love that introduction. We do everything in the name of Allah. Beneficent, the Merciful.
That's right.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Alhamdulillah.
What's going on?
Everything. Savior's Day.
Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Savior's Day.
Happy Savior's Day.
Same to you likewise. Happy Savior's Day, brother. Hold on for 1 second. This is the brother that walked in on us before.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Darryl? I'm doing great. Got one in the chair. And he's looking at his watch. I'm at the other place, 1322 South 48th Street. I'm gonna send it to your phone. Yes, sir. Come on in. Okay. 48th and Woodland. You get the 48th and Woodland, you can call me. Yes, sir. And then call me. I'm a half a block from there. All right? All right, brother. Peace. Let me just make sure we got everything on. Go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry, brother.
That's okay, brother.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're talking about Savior's Day.
Savior's Day, yeah. Savior's Day.
Did his thing, 85 years old, and touched on all the things that
Right.
he wants us to continue to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those of us who heard it the way we should hear it. See,
Mm-hmm.
whenever you hear the minister, that's always marching orders. You're supposed to look at that like he wants you to take on that torch, man, and keep rolling with it.
Right.
At the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's passing it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I'm all charged up, and I'm really happy about doing what we're about to do with this white supremacy part 3.
Yeah, I knew you had some things on your mind that you wanted to go into.
The announcement.
The announcement.
See the first couple, and Kurt, we already straight. Yep. The announcement.
Mm-hmm.
See you next time, Kurt.
Have a good day, Kurt.
All right, now. The announcement is this time. But the first time we actually went into the root of white supremacy. Something that only the brothers in the Nation of Islam can accurately do is go to the root, because you cannot talk about white supremacy without talking about the origin of the white race, because without white people, you have no white supremacy. So we can agree over and over again that white supremacy is the problem, but like any problem, you can't fix it until you find out where it came from, until you find out its root. So that was the first one, and it was lengthy. I didn't think it was going to be that lengthy. I thought we would be able to get it out in one, not take, but one interview, and at least the second one. But at the end of the second video, we talked about the Caucasian people that can make it. The Caucasian people who are the good people, our brothers and sisters in the faith, the ones who accept the same thing that we accepted. But this one, see, with the question, or with the ending of what we were talking about, I didn't get a chance to go to the enemy, the flat out enemy. See, it's beautiful to talk about the good people, and it's beautiful to talk about the believers, but what about the people who don't believe? Because those are the ones who rain on parades. Those are the ones who rain on celebrations, you know? But as we celebrate humanity and celebrate the believing community, whether it be black or white, what about the people, the reality of Satan, the enemies of God's people, black and white, like the book you were just looking at that we plan on doing a nice little slideshow with. Don't tell me, you know, I'm one of them older people that don't like getting help without sanctuary. See, I didn't need you. But the book Without Sanctuary, it shows a bunch of pictures of the things that we went through. So these are the enemies that are enemies of the original people and the people that's from the original people. These are enemies to black and white, all people, regardless of color, who stand for truth. So in that book, you'll see a few white people that were lynched. When you see Martin Luther King in the tapes, you see a few white people that's in the, or you see a lot of white people. It was mainly black, but you saw a lot of supporting white people who were actually in the marches with Martin Luther King, basically getting the same thing that everybody else was getting, because that's how much hatred they had for truth, righteousness, and anything that's connected to black at all. Black meaning the father of color. Black meaning the originators of all the other races.
Right.
That out of us came all the other races. I mean, you know, one thing that this devil likes to do, his tactic is divide and conquer. We know this. But yet we still allow ourselves to fall victim to their little primitive program of divide and conquer. So I got a brother, my brother, who may be Moorish American, that's calling us Moors. And he's angry with us because we call ourselves the black man.
Right.
Which is ridiculous, because we not only call ourselves the black man, we also call ourselves the original man. Our lesson says, who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, and that's what you was getting ready to say. We're Asiatic. Now, we agree on Asiatic. We agree on original people, but we don't agree on black. See, my thing is like this, and I don't want to get on to that, but I'm going to end it before I even get on it. Study the language. Before you get angry at us for calling ourselves the original man, the Asiatic black man, I want all of my Moorish American brothers to go to the root of Moor and find out the language. What language is that? We know it's not Arabic. We know it's not Hebrew. We know it's not the Sumerian language. What language is that? And what does it mean in that language? Because before we get so wrapped up into, and all of this is connected to white supremacy because it's divide and conquer. So this is very, very necessary for me to say. Before you get to a point where you want to separate yourself from us over a name or a label, which religion and labels is always the problem. Find out exactly what you're separating yourself over. You know what I mean? So if Europeans are the ones who came up with the word Moor, then why don't you ask that European, what is the definition of the word Moor? Because according to what they say, Moor means black. Black or more. More black. So what are we doing and what are we saying? You know, we're making mockery out of our leaders, who I just don't believe that if the Honorable Noble Drew Ali was here today, that he would separate himself from the minister. I believe they would be comparing notes so that they can come up with the best thing for us to unite with, you know? So this is what we want to push, man. We want to push unity. You know what I mean? Black unity. Moorish unity, Sunni unity, you know what I mean? Islamic unity. Let's stop chopping ourselves up and allowing white supremacy to pluck us off one by one, because that's how it gets us. But it's very, very hard, like Malcolm said, to play around with a fist, but you can play around with an open hand all day long. So back to what we're saying today about the announcement. What is the announcement? And I'm going to get to some questions. I want some questions from you because I love your questions, but we're going to make this announcement first, because after the foundation that produced our enemy, even the prophets like Moses that were used to take the younger people and make the older serve the younger, a Caucasian race was able to be born into the world 6,000 years later. And now you have not Babylon, not Egypt, not Persia or Greece, no other, or Rome, but you have America now. America is what we say the mystery Babylon is. The baby London, the baby England. America is the Babylon that the Bible is talking about in the book of Revelation. And now this man is 6 days old. And he's on top of the whole world. And he's angry. Murderously angry, because he knows that he has a short period of time to do his bidding. I believe that's in Revelations 12 or 18. But it's in the book of Revelation where he's angry, that he has a short amount of time, and he wants to take as many of us with him as possible to hell. So now white supremacy is no longer shooting for total dominance, because white supremacy knows that its day of being dominant is over. We have too much information today. We have videos like this right here that's going to be played over and over and over again. We have cell phones and we have computers where we can find out who's the dominant and who is the recessive, and the black man, the original man, is the dominant. And the people that come from the original are the recessive. So now that they know that this is everyday knowledge, they're not looking to deceive anymore. They're not looking to overpower anymore. They're looking to kill now. So the average racist white supremacist today, when he sees you and me and our men and our women and children, he's not looking to trick us. This is the announcement. He's not looking to deceive us or even rule over us. He don't even want us in his house being his servant anymore. Right now, today, what this Caucasian man wants to do, this white supremacist, he wants to kill you before you can receive your world back. That is the announcement. And I just wanted to say that this is the mindset of white supremacy today. The mindset of white supremacy is to destroy anybody who wants to see us receive what God put us through all of this for. He put us through these 6 days so that we can be worthy of what comes on the 7th day, and that's the world being given back to the original people.
Now, I heard you you say or discuss once before, when you look at and I just want you to give your feedback or give your full take on this, but that you know God has to do something when you look around and you can't hardly get fresh drinking water, or when you look around and the fruits and vegetables, you can't tell if you're getting quality stuff, even the so-called organic stuff.
No nutrients in it.
No nutrients. You look at how meat is produced, steroids being pumped into this, or even the issues with soil, how the soil is lacking nutrients. So.
And the sperm count of our young brothers.
Right. All of that. So please just give some further elaboration and some explanation on these things.
Okay. War talk. We're at war. We are literally at war. And the sad part is we're fighting a coward. And I said it before in previous interviews. He's a coward because he won't tell you that the war started. But do we really expect our enemies to tell us every little thing about what's going on when a part of war is to keep your opponent confused and unclear, on certain things? Keep you confused, confounded. So disoriented, and when you do things like that, it helps you to be able to connect when you're trying to swing at your opponent. So we can't expect him to make it plain. That's our job. So in the Nation of Islam, especially after Savior's Day lecture coming from a savior like the minister that we just heard a few days ago, February 17th. And I don't know if you peeped it, but in the back it had the 19 there. Yeah. With the 2 million Indians make it 19 million all over the planet Earth, 4,400,000,000. So the minister had the 19 there because this is 2019. But he's a beautiful savior that keeps us on track and keeps us clear. And once we get this message clear, then it's our job to go warn our people with this message. We don't expect the devil to do it. But me right now and you and all of the brothers in the Nation of Islam right here in the Delaware Valley, Mosque number 12, it is our responsibility in the DVR to let the people know that war started a long time ago. That we're, especially since Donald Trump has taken office, this so-called race war already started, brother. So they're not telling us because they're cowards. Like I said before, I don't know if you caught it. I said he's not going to tell you to put him up. He's going to tell you nothing. Right. He's going to pluck you off. He's going to kill you one by one. When you see the cops attack our little girls, little sister at a swimming party with a swimsuit on, a bathing suit.
Yeah, he
had his knee in her back. Yeah. Or the little sister that was riding through after school on her pedal bike through the parking lot, and they drug her around like a rag doll, and did the same thing to the woman, not the woman, the little young girl in school. So school ain't even safe. He hated her so much that he didn't even get a chance to, he didn't even pull her out of the chair first. He drug her in the desk around. And they were still saying that this man did his job. Because what job is he really doing? So he's doing the job of a white supremacist, a murderer, a hater. And that nature comes from years of preying on our people, years of murdering our people. That pent-in murder has to come out some kind of way, especially that he knows that he doesn't have what he had yesterday. See, when we looked at those pictures, and I wish we had the book out, that's in that book, Without Sanctuary. When we look at those pictures, we seen children smiling on their faces when black men were being burnt and lynched. Little girls smiling. She wouldn't even smile if you were hanging a dog, a pit bull. The sound that he would make losing his life would traumatize this woman or this little child forever. But somehow that natural hatred that she had in her little heart made her get a smile on her face as this man was being lynched. See, this nature is the nature that we are going to war with. And it was little white boys doing the same thing. This type of hatred was there even though they had the world exactly the way they wanted it. Back in those days, they had the world exactly the way they wanted it. Because they were looking at us like second-class citizens and nobody was disagreeing. Back in the day, if you told a black man to change your tire, even if you didn't know him, even if he was on his way to church, you say, boy, change that tire. And he better do it. Back in those days, if your white wife was on her way to church and the white man saw you looking too long and asked you, what are you looking at, boy? You had to put your head down. What are you looking at, boy? Would call a grown man a boy, and you had to answer him, no, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just looking at over here. I'm not looking at your wife, sir.
An old man, too.
An old man calling a young man, sir, while the young man is calling an old man a boy. So, I mean, they were in their wicked, satanic heaven in those days, but yet they still had enough hate to kill.
Now, let me ask you this.
And lynch. Don't forget what you're going to say, but I must say this. Truth is here. So my point is, because you asked me my take on this, don't forget your point, but truth is here. And now I can look at whoever I want to look at. If somebody asked me today, what are you looking at? I can say, you know, no disrespect, you have a beautiful wife, sir. No disrespect. You asked me, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just admiring your wife's beauty. Now, what is he going to do today? Besides take it. You know what I mean? If he calls me boy, I don't even have to tell you what may happen. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So this is where we are today. So he might have a boss that looks like me after I put him in his place and let him know exactly what I'm looking at. And he knows that he might be half the man I am, so he has to take his half self somewhere else. Even though he got the white skin, it ain't doing enough for him today. How much anger, that's the point, does he have when he has to go to work and look at a boss that looks somewhat like me after him and I might have had some words at the stoplight or words on the street. So if he had this murderous hate when everything was right, what kind of hate do these same haters have that they don't have the leverage over us like they used to have? See, that's the announcement.
Wow, praise be to Allah. That's a very good point.
And I hope you didn't forget yours.
Praise be to Allah. Yeah, well, my question is this. So we're talking about talk of war, being in a war, being prepared mentally, and you know, just being aware of your surroundings and everything. But let me ask you this: how should Black people be preparing themselves or be responsive in this war? I mean, because you know, some people might say, okay, war means to take up arms.
Right.
Some people might feel like, you know, war means to protest. What do you say?
I'm smiling, you see, right?
Yeah.
I always smile when the answers are very easy.
Mm-hmm.
I say that the FOI wants you. That's what I say.
Mm-hmm.
I say join the Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Be a part of God's army.
Mm-hmm.
And see, once you accept good leadership, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he'll teach you how to gird up your loins, and he'll teach you how to fight the good fight, and he'll teach you how to put on your whole armor of God. There's no gun in that armor with the breastplate and the helmet and the boots and the sword. See? But these are instruments of wisdom and knowledge and understanding and truth that we tell. That we can cut your head off with truth if you don't want to hear it the right way. You know, if you want to challenge it, then there's no contest between you and us when we have the truth. So if you're trying to discredit any of us with your lies, then that's when it's off with your head with truth. So in the Nation of Islam, we do not believe in carrying weapons. A young man asked me one day, he said, oh, hey, why y'all always talk about how y'all don't have weapons? Is that a smart thing? Because we always thought y'all did have weapons. Why would you promote not having weapons? Because we're promoting the power of Allah, and we're promoting the power of His truth. So people with guns, the police department, when they're in the streets, they call on us a lot of times. Now look at that. Here's a man or a group or a group of police officers that have weapons calling people who don't to secure an area. It sounds somewhat like these people know who the real weapon is and who is really the protectors.
Right.
See what I'm saying? It's us. And we don't need carnal weapons to do that. All we need is faith in Allah. See, belief in Allah. Like David only needed that one little stone and a slingshot. Whereas though Goliath was armed to the teeth.
Right.
It's the same thing today. So that is what I tell people. Instead of just knowing what time it is and looking over your back and everything, join the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam is the Ark of God. It's not the Ark. The Bible doesn't talk about an ark being just a ship, but the Ark is a truth in an organization that when you join the Nation of Islam, then you just can't easily be plucked off.
Right.
And that's why you don't see us on the news like that. Because if you mess with one of us, it's a whole nation that comes behind each one of us. This is the Ark of God, and this is our true protection.
Okay. No, so let me ask you this then too. So on the topic of David, so the story of David had other brothers who were, were basically, they were top soldiers.
Right.
But they weren't, none of them were chosen.
Right.
But David himself, one of the key things about him is that David was fearless.
Right.
So in the instance of being in a war, what role does being fearlessness, having no fear, play, and how we have to do what we have to do?
Okay.
How would you say?
Well, see, David was a man after God's own heart. So what does it really mean? It means that David had a good heart. Nobody's perfect, none is righteous, no, not one. But David had a good heart, right? So whenever we deal with, like the minister said, about fear, it's natural for you to fear, but it's not good for you to allow your fear to consume you. So nobody's walking around with absolutely no fear, but it says that perfect love casts out fear. So you have no fearlessness without a strong love, and you have no strong love without a clear understanding of what it is that you love. So knowledge of self is where that love comes from, that would make you a man after God's own heart.
Yes, sir. So what can we get people to do to encourage them to attain knowledge of self?
I just told you. Go to the people that keep pushing it. Who else is giving knowledge of self?
That's right. That's right.
I mean, real knowledge of self. I'm not talking about learning about Nat Turner, which is a great leader. Don't get it twisted. I mean, these are great leaders, Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois, but these are men after slavery. You're the oldest man on the planet. What are you studying people that's only 100, 200, 300 years ago for? You know, so true knowledge of self would be you before you fell. Learning about how you can make it through slavery is really not attractive enough for you to love yourself with that knowledge. And that's why I believe personally, Brother Zebulon in the Nation of Islam, I believe that's why people run from black history.
Okay.
That's why I believe that it's not sufficient enough to make people want to continue to journey down that particular road. But once you can go back to the black man's origin, which he has none, time. We've been here for so long, our lessons teach us that time has erased our beginning. So once you talk about how many trillions and trillions of years we've been here, see, that's intriguing enough to make you want to keep on going, and you'll never get it all.
Yes, sir.
See, that's the knowledge of self that we need.
Yes, sir.
And that's the knowledge of self that only we in the Nation of Islam offer.
Wow. Okay, my brother. Do you have any final thoughts?
Well, the final thought that I'm having right now, as we just come out of Savior's Day and look forward to seeing part 2 to this great Savior's Day 2019. Beautiful. And I smile because my birthday is February 19th. So every time I say 2019, it just makes me feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, right? The minister gave a beautiful, awesome, informative Savior's Day address, and we're going to get part 2 to get the rest. Here's a man that spoke for 4 hours or more straight, and we got to get more because that's how much wisdom is coming from this fountain. And I'm just so thankful and happy to be one of the cups to receive this fountain of wisdom from our leader and minister.
Absolutely.
That's all. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for your time, my brother.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir. And let's continue to do things big and post Savior's Day 2019.
We look forward to going in the street.
That's right.
As soon as harvest time.
That's right.
As soon as the weather's about to break, and we be right back out there doing what Allah put on us to do through His messenger and reminder, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam.